everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajua, and I hope everyone is doing so well. In this video, I want to share some of my purchases for 2024. We are in July, and I'm sort of taking stock. I'm not too sure how many Middle Eastern fragrances I have bought so far, but I think it's somewhere around 35 to 45, but I've not really counted them. But in this video, I want to let you know about my top 20 purchases. Most of my fragrance purchases have been successful this year, with the exception of one or two, that I feel I failed because I didn't get opportunity to sample them. Fortunately, this year I've been doing a lot of testing and sampling and decant, so I get to try a lot of the fragrances before I buy them. So I have very little feels, and those feels are from the fragrances that I blind buy from. But even that has not been that much. I've been super lucky this year to have a lot of successes when it comes to my Middle Eastern purchases. And out of the 35, 45 fragrances I believe I have bought till July, these are my top 20 that I would highly recommend, that I would say, buy them blindly. If you sort of like my fragrance taste, I would say you can just buy some of these fragrances blindly. And I'm going to start off with the first one here, and this is Arabiat's Prestige Blueberry Musk. It was marketed as an inspired version of Fenty by Fenty, and I got to try Fenty, and definitely it took inspiration from Fenty, but this is slightly different. It's not as intense as Fenty. It's not as polarizing because that can be a little heavy and intense with the tangerine and the blueberry and the musk, and the vanilla. It's quite daring. Whereas this one is more of a toned down version. This one is much more mass appealing. As to the OG Fenty, it can be a little intense for people who are not looking for something dramatic and unique. It is a very beautiful one, but this is like a toned down, more wearable, mass appealing one. So I'll highly recommend this. You are getting the blueberry, you're getting the vanilla, you're getting some bits of woods, you're getting the musk blended so beautifully into a very feminine gourmand blueberry realistic one. So I'll highly recommend this. I felt so in love when I was able to test this. Fortunately, before I purchased it, it was like as soon as I tried it, I knew I wanted to have a full bottle. So blueberry musk from my Perfumes Arabian, I'll highly recommend. It didn't fail me. The next one that I feel was very successful is going to be Cleopatra from Hamidi. And this I bought blindly. I think I bought this blindly. I wanted to try it, but at the time, I think something happened because my vendor had a bottle, but I went in and I guess sort of picked it because it was likened to Creed Camina, and I wasn't disappointed at all. This is so beautiful. Creed Camina, it gives me like a one-to-one they did so well. Hamidi, I think this is the only Hamidi fragrance I have, and it's opened my eye to that house. Phenomenal job they did with this, the florals here, the fruits here, the musk, the petals, everything is like synchronized beautifully. It gives me Creed Camina one-to-one, very identical. I'm highly pleased with this. It's one of my best buys for 2024. So Cleopatra by Hamidi, I'll highly recommend. You can buy all of these fragrances blindly. The next one I also bought blindly because nobody had like a sample or a decant is Sir by Lattafa, and as I say, I'm not disappointed with any of these, including Sir. This is phenomenal. It gives me commodity milk vibes, milk plus or milk bold plus, milk bold vibes. It gives me that, cozy, slightly lactonic, slightly like toasted, sort of almond, smoky, very sultry, comforting, warmth. It gives me like a lactonic, something that gives you comfort, and that is what this one does to me. It is very beautiful, also gives me very sensual, sexy vibes. This has not been a fail, and I think you can safely blind buy Say from Lattafa. The next one, I'm so glad, so glad I picked. I can just pick anything randomly and I'll be able to speak to them, without thinking twice about it. And one such fragrance is December Vanilla, one of the best that I have picked up from Paris Corner. It gives me performance, it gives me potency. It gives me everything. The scent profile is different. It is unique. It doesn't give me the everyday vanilla. It doesn't give me basic. It gives me sexy, grown, matured, cougar vibes. If you like my taste in fragrances, this is one that I would say you can blind buy. It will be different. It's not going to be the norm, the everyday, normal mass appealing ones. Is going to be different, but I'm sure you're going to thank me for this later, because quite a number of people have bought this on my recommendation, and they always come back to tell me they love it. So I'm sure a lot of people, or much more other people, will equally appreciate this. A few people say it failed them, but if you love them like myself, I would say go for these polarizing yet interesting, unique fragrances. The next one I will just, go with is Vol Patisserie from Paris Corner. It is very new. I think it's less than 2 weeks on the market. Even some markets have not, are not, it's not available everywhere, but I hope it finds its way to everyone to be able to enjoy this fragrance. And this is phenomenal. It's a lactonic, almondy, milky fragrance with that biscuity sort of, tone to it. Very beautiful, very feminine, very sensual. It gives me a very comforting, sensual fragrance. That is the best way I can describe it. I think it has the almond, it has the milk, it has some, lactonic, marshmallowy sort of feel to it. A fluffy, fragrance, light and airy, but also dense and intense at the same time. Very beautiful. Highly recommend Vogue Patisserie from Paris Corner. All these fragrances, phenomenal. The next one I'll move on to is Kissa Delicious from Paris Corner. Also, this is quite underrated in my opinion. It's been trash talk, for some people, but I would say try it for yourself. Test it out for yourself. Don't just go with the flow. It's better to try fragrances for yourself to be able to know how you feel about it. But take my word, this fragrance is amazing. It is quite simple and a little basic, but it's also quite different, dark chocolate, marshmallow, I think some oranges, zesty gourmand feel. It is different, at least that zesty lime, tangerine or mandarin orange feel makes it quite different, and very warm and cozy as well, so just ignore anything negative you might have heard about this. To me, that is what I would advise, because I love this. It is not my style per se, but when it comes to simple lactonic gourmand fragrances, I'll recommend Kissa Delicious by Paris Corner. Amazing. I love this. I'll move on to one from Lattafa, and this I sought after for quite some time because it was sort of out of stock from a lot of vendors. I asked until like 2-3 months ago, less than 3 months ago. Lane from Lattafa. This is amazing. Gourmand florals. It's like more of a jasmine, scent with the green mango. It's a mango scent, but it's not your intense syrupy ripe mango. This is more of an unripe mango, but infused with that beautiful, clean, non-indolic jasmine, very beautiful. It gives me a womanly, sophisticated, polished vibes. It doesn't give me anything fun and flirty. It gives me polished and sophisticated. Highly recommend, Lean by Lattafa. Maybe if you want me to do a full review of this, let me know, and I will do it. But this is a very beautiful one. It's like grown and matured and also fruity floral, very sophisticated in my opinion. I'll move on to Shagaf Oud Tonka from Swiss Arabian. It is not going to be for everyone, a bit of a synthetic nuance, which doesn't throw me off. It's a synthetic nuance that I love, that is coming from the almond, Tonka, resonance, rich, delicious gourmand, but with an edge, it's quite edgy, quite intense. It will not be for everyone, but it is beautiful, that syntheticness, that doll head thing is there, and that is what sort of makes this fragrance a bit unique in my opinion. So I would highly recommend Shagaf Oud Tonka, one of the best that I have picked so far in 2024. I'll move on to the next one here that is going to also be from Lattafa, and this is going to be let me go with Mazaji. I always get this wrong. This is Majazi from Lattafa, and this is going to be your beautiful citrus, with the florals, like clean white florals. I think it has orange blossom and some some jasmine, or it's white florals. I think I'm not sure. I'm not just lie and say gardenia, no, but it's predominantly white florals, which comes across as very clean and light and elevated with the citruses. I think mandarin orange, at the top, very beautiful. And I think this took inspiration from Le Parfum Royal something, Elisab, and I was able to test that fragrance recently, and they smell like one to one. I was so impressed when I smelled the OG and I smelled this, myself. I'm highly impressed with this, and I highly recommend if you want something very clean, very ladylike, very feminine, very floral, yet with a bit of a sparkling sort of touch to it. Mazaji or Majazi, one of them from Lattafa. Highly recommend. I'm also going to go with Care Fusion by Paris Corner. In the scheme of my favorites, this is not going to be my favorite, but I still love this fragrance, because in as much as it is simple and basic and juvenile and everything, it's still very refreshing, very happy-go-lucky. It makes me happy. It makes me, tap into my little girl juvenile side, carefree. I don't have any responsibilities. I don't want to think about anything grown folks thing, it puts me in that frame, and I love this fragrance for it, So Care Fusion is a good one. And the OG is also a good one, but it's not like anything out of this world. Like it's simple, everyday, quite juvenile, if you want to put it that way. But I still love this, I it's sort of I saw it I was very indifferent about this for a very long time until, I was like, no, appreciate things for what they are, if it's good, it's good. And this one is good. So Care Fusion from Paris Corner, I highly recommend. And I'm going to go with Empire Victor. I couldn't do this video without this fragrance because it's been like one of the best gourmands I have picked up for 2024. I'm so blessed and happy to have this, especially the older formulation. I got to try the new formulation, which is equally good, but my preference is this one, because it screams me. It has the oud, it has that intense, dense vanilla, creamy, it's sort of exotic smelling, intense. It's like in all up in your face, but still very, wearable, very sultry, sexy Empire Victor, the old formulation, and if you want to choose between those two and you gravitate towards fragrances that I do, I would say go with the old formulation. But if you want something more simple, more approachable, then you can go with the newer formulation, which has the lime and I think lemon and triple doses of vanilla, which is equally very beautiful, but my preference is going to be the older formulation just because I gravitate towards these fragrances the most. Then I'm going to go on with let me put these two together. Eclair from Lattafa and then Caramel Cascade, because they smell almost identical. These two, I'll not say, okay, I'm just putting them together because they are both inspired by the same fragrance and I love them both. I do love them both. They are very similar, whereas this one is more, closer to Bianco Latte. This one also, goes in a slightly little direction of its own with more milk, and I love them both, I was pleasantly surprised by both fragrances. I never got anything negative to associate with this. I never got any root beer. I never got any mushroom. It was just like clean and straight up Bianco Latte vibes to me, whereas this one is also clean. My first impression was not the best about it, but it has then, transformed and it's now a very good one. So these two I highly recommend. Caramel Cascading and Eclair, phenomenal, especially if you're into lactonic, Gourmand, scent, milky. Yeah, those two, I'll say go for it. Then the next one I felt immediately, attached to Nostalgic Expression from Paris Corner. This is beautiful, simple, playful, mandarin, Sicilian orange, summer, even year round. It reminds me of Fanta, that fizzy, zesty Fanta that we buy from the mart and the malls or the corner shop. That is exactly what it tastes. It was reported to be inspired by Afternoon Swim, but I didn't get the similarities at all. If anything at all, my preference is this over Afternoon Swim, although Afternoon Swim is equally phenomenal, and I think Paris Corner should have just labeled this their own creation because it doesn't give me Afternoon Swim, although it will put you in the same sort of mind space. But Nostalgic the Fourth, amazing. I highly recommend this, if you have not picked it yet. The next one on this list is going to be Udain from Lattafa. And I got this fragrance solely because it was connected to Alexander II by Zezhov. People said it was, Alexander II's inspo from Lattafa. And I was super excited about it and curious. But I picked it blindly because I didn't get opportunity to test this one. And it doesn't smell like it, but it's a different thing, unique fragrance on its own, which I love. I'm so glad I charged upon it accidentally, although I was looking for something in the direction of Alexander II by Zezhov. It is totally different. It is also woody, Alexander is also woody, but this is woods plus some hint of animalic nuances. It's sweet. It's sweet and thick and resonant, but it doesn't smell like Alexander II at all. It's like it has a mind of its own, totally different. But I love this, because it's quite unique and quite unique from a lot of fragrances I have come across. It reminds me of Amir Oud Intense, but much more intense, much more intense, and that is Udain by Lattafa. This you might not want to blind buy because it might be a little too much for you, but if you sort of go with what I like, then you can go with this, And the next one here is going to be Floor Oud from Cartilage. This I also got to try with other Cartilage, fragrances. Fortunately, before I was able to pull the trigger on this. This is beautiful, airy, light florals with that civet thing. People say animalic, but it's more of a civet sort of animalic quality than a woody animalic banyan. This sort of quality to me. This is very fresh, ladylike, polished, yet also different and can be worn year round. I'm so glad I bought into the hype. It was hyped up, I think, at the beginning of the year, but I'm so glad I bought into the hype, but more especially being able to try it out, and I'm so glad I was able to pick this one. So Floor Wood from Cartilage. I couldn't have done this video without Bayan Asra from Paris Corner. Is it 100% guidance? No. It is sort of an EDT or La Rosée version of guidance. Very light and watery, but it still puts me in the same mind frame as guidance. If you really want to get to know what it's all about without spending too much. This is one of I think the only Middle Eastern alternative out there that I know about. I know there are so many other inspiration of guidance, but they are not Middle Eastern. But when it comes to a Middle Eastern inspiration of guidance, I would just say go with this one. It is a very good one. It will put you in the same mind frame. It doesn't have that intensity. It doesn't have that richness, that resonance, hazelnut and the rose and everything, gothic and rich that guidance has, but it's going to put you in the same mind frame as guidance. It is a good one. It's even a little more wearable for people who were not really for guidance because it's a very intense, a bit polarizing of a scent, but if you want a more toned down, sort of watered down, watery, light EDT version, highly recommend Bayan Asra from Paris Corner. This next one is fairly new in my collection. I have a dedicated video for it. I'm sure I will upload that one before I upload this video. And this is Candy Rose from Grandeur. And this was marketed as a Born in Roma inspired by fragrance, which in the other video I explained in details. But this is very beautiful, girly, feminine. It doesn't really give me Born in Roma, but it gives me something like Prada Paradox. That is what it gives me for the most part. But it's a very simple yet elegant feminine one, also quite light and watery and aquatic, that can be used for almost every occasion or almost every season, because it's not as heavy and thick and rich and resonant. So Candy Rose from Grandeur, it's one that I would highly recommend. I like the scent profile, I like everything about it. It is very beautiful, yet simple and feminine, fruity, floral. I guess a lot of tuberose in this fragrance, although it doesn't list tuberose in this fragrance. So Candy Rose from Grandeur. The next one here is not a Middle Eastern fragrance. It is from Cherissa Sol de Janeiro, and this is the 59. And for whatever reason, it just blew me away in a very positive way. I love this, from day one. It is so elegant, flawless. Nothing that I hate about this. It's a violet that I love, vanilla, some sandalwood, soft, gentle, womanly floral, floral done in a way that I love, So I'm so happy I was able to pick this one up. Cherosa 59 from Sol de Janeiro. I'm in love. I layer this with almost everything on its own. It is amazing. And I think the last one here, I'm not sure if I started a video with this or maybe I missed it. No, not the last one. The last two, I believe. Because I don't think I've spoken about Emir from Lattafa. I don't think I have. This is amazing, If I have, I'll just edit it out, But this is amazing. It's going to give you a very spicy, aromatic cardamom with some citruses, bergamot, I believe, it's like heavy aromatic citruses and a sort of bitter cardamom, at the top, it even lingers throughout the life of the fragrance, but it has a woody, musky base, and it's super long lasting. So Emir from Lattafa, I'm late to it, but I'm so happy I was able to pick this one up, and I like it. It leans a bit masculine, just slightly masculine, but unisex in my, in my books. So Emir from Lattafa, I would highly recommend. And I think the last one here is one that I was gifted, I was gifted this fragrance by Sea Chronicles when I was there not too long ago. And this is Nadine. Nadine is not going to give you your typical everyday. I know this goes in the direction of Sintra by Memo Paris, or Melody from Orientica. People have also likened it to Love Don't Be Shy, but I think it is more of the Sintra vibes than Love Don't Be Shy, because I don't get anything marshmallowy, I don't get anything orange blossom, nothing like that, So it's more of that heavy green, petty green with some neroli and some, other florals, as well as something like vanillic, very beautiful nonetheless. So these are my 20 fragrances, I believe, that I have here, which to me are phenomenal. They are safe blind buys, If you love or gravitate towards things that I love, I would say you can safely blind buy these fragrances. They are amazing and I love them all, So out of my 35 to about 45 fragrances that I believe, because I have not counted, I usually do not like to count my fragrances or my purchases. It puts my mental, my mental whatever in not so much of a good place, but I don't for the most part. I don't know how many I've added to my collection this year, but I think it's around 35 to 45, and these are the top 20 of those buys, that I've made so far. And hopefully the other ones that I do are also going to be successful, because I want to test them out. And thankfully, I've been able to pick up a lot of decants and samples, and I think I'm just going to go with that too. So that is going to be it for today. And I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.